Welcome to the Sharing Without Shame podcast, dedicated to parents and anyone else who loves someone in active addiction. Education is a powerful tool in breaking down stigma, fostering understanding, and ultimately helping individuals and their loved ones navigate the challenges of addiction. With Donna Marston, author of Peeling the Onion and Sharing Without Shame. So take a deep breath and grab some tissues as we uncover the stories of love, courage, and unwavering support in the face of adversity, as Donna and her guests share their stories without shame. Because when we share our stories without shame, we inspire others to do the same.
Hello, and welcome to the Sharing Without Shame podcast. I'm your host, Donna Marston, and today's podcast is brought to you by Snapbands. That's SNAPPBANDZ.com. And this is what my Snapband looks like. Mine is, I like the light pink, so it's a little almost skin color. It says blessing on it, and when I received it, I never thought of myself as a blessing, but that's what the packaging said, so I like that. And it's cognitive therapy. So if you're having a craving or bad thoughts or whatever's going on, this is for mental health, and you just give it a little snap and it snaps you right out of that. If you'd like to order one, go to www.snapbands.com. That's SNAPPBANDZ.com. In the comments, you can put in SWOS or Sharing Without Shame so that they know that you heard about it from me. And today I am joined by Jennifer Ginty, who's a single mom and entrepreneur who has her personal struggles into a mission to help others. She's turned her personal struggles into a mission to help others. Living with complex PTSD and major oh, I can't talk today. Sorry.
No worries.
You're going to have to cut that, Marisol. Living with complex PTSD and major depressive disorder due to childhood trauma, Jen has developed valuable coping skills that she now shares to support emotional awareness and healing. Inspired by her own experiences in therapy, Jen created My Moody Monster, pull-apart plush toy designed to help children safely express frustration and open conversations about emotions within families. Through her YouTube series, Moody Talks, she educates others on emotional regulation and coping strategies, making mental health discussions more accessible. So welcome, Jen.
Hi, Donna. Thank you so much for having me on.
I'm really excited about this.
Me too.
Because I saw a little bit about Moody Monster, and it is so cool. And I just think it can help so many people, especially people who, the parents are using, an active addiction or whatever. So, what I'd like to ask you first is what would you like to share without shame?
Woo, that's a question.
I know.
Well, so, my shame, my history of shame stems from very, very early in my life. And, I have learned throughout my life, especially after I had my, right now moment where I wanted to go on my healing journey, I realized that my story isn't shameful.
Mm,
And I think that that's something that a lot of people who have been through trauma have to learn about themselves and about their
mm,
history.
yeah,
That what happened to us isn't our shame to carry. Yeah.
that's
So
powerful.
I'd say that that is my major share for,
Mm,
what shame means to me now
yeah.
over what it meant throughout the years before I went on my healing journey.
And what does shame to mean to you now?
Shame. So throughout the years of my healing, I've learned that shame is a valid emotion, just like all the other ones that we have, all the other emotions out there. And it's how we take shame in, how we cope with shame.
Mhm.
That is that's the crux, right? Because shame can very easily turn toxic.
Yeah.
And what
Yeah.
I learned about shame through DBT, dialectical behavioral therapy, is that it's appropriate in circumstances. It's how we learn. It's how we learn how to live through the societies that we live in. For example, a child playing on the playground, taking another child's toy without
Hmm.
asking, just pulling it away, and an adult saying, "We don't pull toys away from people. We don't take them away from people. We ask first." That child's going to feel a tinge of shame.
Hmm.
And that child is going to learn in that moment, we don't do that. We don't take toys away. The problem with shame is it does turn very toxic very quickly.
Hmm.
And what toxic shame is when someone starts to believe that they're a bad person, not that the situation that they're in or what they may have done was not appropriate. They start to believe that they themselves are bad.
Wow. Wow. So, can you share a bit about your personal journey with your complex PTSD and your major depressive disorder?
Absolutely.
Thanks.
So I grew up in a family with two brothers, mother, father, and my grandmother and aunt also lived with us in the house. My father was my abuser, and for 14
Mhm.
years he lived with us until my older brother told a trusted adult what was happening in our family.
Mhm.
And what was happening was we were being abused in every way that you can really think of, unfortunately. And, a lot of people believe that after an abuser is taken from the home, that that's it. The children are out of trauma now. They don't have that abuser abusing them. But there are also a lot of other traumas that happen after an abuser is taken from the home. And that included for me going into the court system. They wanted to put my abuser in prison, but they weren't interested in us as people. They wanted us to bend to what they wanted to use as proof. And when they didn't think that they were going to get what they wanted, they would want us to change our tune and talk, more about things that may have happened and not bring up other things that were very important. And at one point, they put me in front of a grand jury to talk about extremely, extremely bad sexual assault
How old
on
were you?
me as a child. I was 17, I believe, when I went in front of the grand jury, and I was already in college. I had to like leave to go do all of this extra stuff. So as I was going through college, I was also dealing with putting my abuser in prison.
No. Who's your father?
Yes, yes.
Wow.
So after 4 or 5 years of fighting for him to go into prison, he only got 4 years,
Wow.
was out, and he went on to abuse other children.
That, like, were they his children or he
They
married?
were, yeah, he remarried and he abused other people's children. Yeah. And there's a bit of shame in that as well, that I think, oh, I wish that I could have done more to stop him from ever getting out there, but that wasn't my job.
Right.
It
Right.
was the job of the state to keep him away from children that he could abuse.
Well,
But
and the unfortunate thing, we grew up in a generation where children is to be seen and not heard.
mhm,
And what we had to say didn't really have much value,
no,
unfortunately.
yeah, you're right. We were definitely, my family was definitely the it's better to look good than to feel good.
Oh,
Right? It doesn't matter what's going on behind closed doors. You need to look the part that everything is fine, everybody's doing well, and we're a perfect family.
well, if you hide behind your perfectionism, they can't see your flaws.
Right.
And we all know that hiding behind what looks like all perfect is kind of generational.
Hmm.
Well, I think it still carries on, but it was very prevalent in our baby boomer.
Mhm.
age group, because even the parents before them, it was don't make waves, and it keeps coming down. So until somebody starts healing, we continue to have the messes.
Mhm. The generational trauma that gets passed down without even realizing it, right?
Yeah, yeah, and yeah, it's because you can come from a really nice home, have parents who aren't beating you or abusing you or anything, but there might be, depending on how sensitive you are, it could be just hurtful conversations, or they say something and it just hurts. We all receive things differently,
Hmm. We
you
do.
know. So how did, when you were in court with your dad, and as you're going through college,
Mm.
were you diagnosed at this point, or did that come later?
So I would say back in those days, PTSD was known, but I don't think I ever really got a diagnosis when I was a teenager. And having had a son who is also was followed by the Department of Mental Health and had his own issues, they don't really give diagnoses to kids like teenagers because it can change so drastically throughout the time as they're growing up. But I definitely was suffering from PTSD, no doubt. And the depression was definitely there. And I think that stemmed from even younger. I probably started when I was 6 with my depression. And I
Mm.
think it was one of those, it was a chemical depression. It was part of me. And that's something that comes from the PTSD. Because when you're in constant trauma every day, like in childhood abuse or domestic violence or homelessness, those type of things, it changes your body chemistry. It changes the neurons in your brain. And I feel as though my particular depression stemmed from consistently being in trauma and
Mm.
my body chemistry changing drastically.
Well, I would assume you're always in fight or flight mode.
Yes. And, it was only a few years ago that I learned about the other two, which was fawn and freeze. And those also played a big part in it as well.
Now,
I,
what's fawn?
so fawn, yeah, I didn't realize I didn't learn this for years, but fawning is a way for people who are in abusive situations to stop their abuser by giving them tons of love. Like love bombing and making them feel good so that they don't turn it on you and harm you.
Wow.
Fawning is basically people pleasing, learning how to people please and being a, consummate people pleaser in that sense.
It almost sounds like it's to the extreme, though.
Yes. Yes, it's in order to stop abuse.
Wow.
Yeah. And a lot of women in domestic violence situations use it constantly.
Mm. Wow.
So, yeah. So I learned all those different things when I was young, and the complex PTSD diagnosis didn't come until I was in my 40s. I don't think they really talked about complex PTSD back in the early 90s.
Mm-hmm.
I think a lot of people just thought PTSD was for veterans, people who have gone to war,
Right. Yeah.
soldiers, and didn't really think about how others were in trauma.
Mm. Now, was your dad a drinker, or were there drugs involved or anything?
No, he wasn't at all. That's the crazy part is that he was not an alcoholic. He didn't have drugs in his system. He was very straight edge, but he was a sadist, and he enjoyed the abuse he put on his children. That
Was
might have
he
been his addiction.
right? Yeah. Was he abused as a child? Did you ever find out?
He at one point had made mention of his mother beating him with a brush on his butt, that kind of thing, but that's
Mm.
not what creates a sadistic abuser like that. Something
Yeah.
else clicked in his mind.
Wow. Oh, I'm so sorry that you went through that.
Oh,
I just can't imagine what that's like as a little kid. And then, you know, working, how do you put that in the compartments so that you can move forward in your life?
Yeah. Yeah, it is compartmentalizing, really. It's it's me saying not yet to looking at the trauma, not yet to starting a healing journey because it was just too much. And I wanted to live another life. I wanted to get out there and live, quote, a normal life. And so I just kept saying not yet to it. I'd go to therapy. I was in therapy all throughout college. My mother required it for her to help me in college. She was like, you will be in therapy during that whole time. And I went through therapy, but I went into it day by day. I never really looked back. I just kind of used therapy as, okay, right now I'm feeling this way. What can we do about it? That kind of thing, not looking back at the reason why I
Mm.
was having that.
So nothing came out about your dad.
Well, no, I mean, my therapist knew about it,
Oh, okay.
but we never really talked about it. It was,
Mm.
and not to her, to her defense, it wasn't that she wasn't going to try. It was that I was just not there for it. I did not want to focus on that. I wanted to look forward and not back. But unfortunately, when you look forward and you have a history like mine, it's going to affect it regardless.
Mm. So how did you, because I really want to talk about your Moody Monster. How did he or she or it,
I call them
well,
they.
they,
Yes. Yeah, they,
how did,
them.
so can you tell us about Moody Monster and maybe even show us?
Absolutely. So, background on where Moody came from. So, after I had to close my boutique and go into bankruptcy, which was a very shameful moment for me. I felt a deep shame in that, and I felt I lost an identity. And that is when my brain just kind of broke and said, "You have to do this now.
Mm.
You have to work on this healing." And so I put together my group. I have an individual therapist. I went inpatient into a hospital to, get what I needed together.
Mm.
And that included group therapy. And I hated group therapy when I was a kid. Hated it. Did not want to be there. None of the kids wanted to be there. But as an adult, it was amazing because I was surrounded by this community of people who understood me.
Mm.
So I'm in group therapy and I'm really frustrated with my PTSD symptoms. And I said, I wish I had a monster that I could just rip apart, throw across the room, bang against the furniture, get it all out of on him. And the people in the group were like, yeah, you should have that. And I was like, okay, how do I do this? So I went home and I'm not a seamstress. I'm not a tailor in any way, shape, or form. But I put together this ragtag plush doll and they had Velcro for their heads, arm, and legs. So I could rip them apart. And their original name was PTSD Pete. That was my guy was PTSD Pete, and he was going to help me out. And when I realized that Pete could help me, they could also help others, including children. Because children, I always looked at my boys as little cavemen. They have all of this emotion inside them. They have all of this that they don't understand, and they need to learn and be taught what emotions are, how to cope with them. And so I went to the SBA and they sent me to a nonprofit called E4All, which is in originally it was Massachusetts, and now it's being sent out to all different states in the country. It's just really grown. And I went into an accelerator program and I built Moody. So Moody is a buddy to help with the big frustrations in your life when you need to get them out. And I'll show
Mm.
you who Moody is. This is Moody. So Moody has arms, legs, and head. They pull off. And I worked to get the stickiest Velcro I possibly could because it needs to have that
Yeah, that
real
really
pull
tug.
and the
Yeah.
sound. Like that sound is just so satisfying. So
Mm.
Moody and I went on an adventure. We started testing with families and teachers and therapists. And what I thought was the initial, like the greatest part about Moody was being able to rip them apart. But I realized that the best part about Moody is putting them back together again
Why is that?
because you get to sit down and, look back. What happened? What made me have that big frustration? I say for parents, it gives you the chance to communicate with your child. You can put Moody back together again with them and talk about what happened. What can we do next time to help you with those big feelings you're having? So it's become a huge communication tool for parents and children, teachers, and therapists have been loving them as well. They've really been a lot of help to people.
Wow, that's amazing.
Thank you.
That's great. So if somebody wanted to get a Moody doll or a Moody Monster,
Hmm.
how would they, where, how would they find them?
Yeah.
And
Yeah. So my website is mymoodymonster.com, and you can get there. There's an individual pack, which is Moody comes with their own mode of transportation. So it's a backpack. So if you don't want to put Moody back together again, you can put Moody into the backpack until you're ready
oh,
to do that. And they also come with a coloring book that talks about big feelings, and it's just a fun little pack to get. The kids love to open it up and be able to read the coloring book. And I also have a classroom pack and a office pack. And that's just multiple coloring books so that teachers can have 25 coloring books for their class. And for the office set, I have 10 in there and you can also order more coloring books if you need to. But I also do have a donation on there. Part of my social mission for Moody is to get them to kids in trauma.
mm,
So, first responders and social workers and treatment centers for kids who are in like cancer treatments, kids who are in house fires, like the California fires. I
yeah,
would love to get Moody's out to those kids who need a buddy to hold on to and know that they have during these rough times.
wow, wow. I'm like in awe that of what you've created. I think this
Oh.
is amazing and it can help so many people, and I think I remember when I was dealing with, my son's addiction and getting so angry, I took a pillow and just beat my bed. And then I saw these dolls that you
Damn it dolls.
damn it dolls.
Yes, I have a bunch of damn it dolls.
Yeah, but I really love Moody, and I just think especially for little kids, because being in school can be really tough,
Hmm.
and that they can come home and just rip this doll apart and get out their frustration and not take it out on their siblings, hopefully,
Hmm. Yeah,
right?
a lot of parents bring Moody into the car when they go pick up the kids after school because he's a great transition product. Like just for transitions to get from home to school and vice versa. Because it can be really difficult to go through transitions as a child, and especially if you have, ADHD or autism. Moody has been great for autistic kids. Not only are they great for nonverbal kids to signal to
Wow.
adults that they need help with their emotions, that they're frustrated, but also they love touching because Moody's very soft and
Yeah.
they love the sound of the ripping of their body parts.
Well, it's like when give an infant the crackly paper, right? They
Hmm.
have toys that you can pay all kinds of money that kind of crackle. I would imagine it's the same type of thing.
Hmm.
Wow. I think just so amazing. What was your biggest challenge developing this product and getting it out there?
So it took 5 years because there was no place in the US or Canada that I could get the fabrics or the manufacturing. So I did have to go to China for it.
Wow.
I didn't myself go to China. I
Yeah.
I met someone who introduced me to a manufacturer there. And I think that was the biggest part was the prototyping, finding the perfect Velcro, the perfect fabric for kiddos, things that, the bag, knowing that that would be something that would be helpful for parents. So just developing the product in general. And yeah, so it took a long time to get the prototypes and then finally the funding for ordering. So I did a lot of fundraising.
Oh,
So
wow.
after 5 years, yeah, no, I ordered my first really large shipment of Moody's. It's actually in my kids' room. There's like 20 humongous boxes of
Oh,
Moody's
wow.
that I'm getting out into the world. And it's been so satisfying.
Wow. That's so cool. So do you have like a Shopify or a
Mhm.
Spotify or Amazon?
So
Um,
I go through Shopify and you can also order them through Instagram and Facebook. You can order them through Google and YouTube. I don't do TikTok. TikTok was very difficult to work through. So it's not in a TikTok shop, but it is in those other places.
cool. Now, are you a health advocate? Do you do coaching or anything?
I don't. I do this. This just came from my own, working through my trauma. And Moody is a love language to my healing journey. So I realized that I had a lot to share as an advocate. I don't do coaching. I do have my Moody talks on YouTube. So every month I pick a emotion and then we talk about what the emotion feels like. What are the words that we use for it? Getting a vocabulary together about that emotion so that you know how intense you're feeling it. And then the next 3 weeks, I do coping skills that I've learned from DBT that have really, really helped me out. So I share those coping skills for everyone to build a coping skills toolbox because everybody needs one. And I found that that's the most important information I can share to people and to advocate.
And what's your YouTube channel?
It is also my Moody Monster.
Okay.
And yeah, I do Moody Talks and I also do Moody Story Time for kiddos. So Moody and I read a story about big feelings, and we do that every week, pick new books and put them out there. But yeah, I am looking to, in the future, to advocate for kids who are going through the court system like I did. I really believe that that's important because I don't think it has changed much from the time that I was going through that. And kids deserve an advocate to help them through that.
Mm, yeah. Wow. Very impressive.
No.
So if somebody wanted to get in touch with you, do you have a email that you want to share or
Absolutely. Yeah, please. Jen at mymoodymonster.com. I absolutely am always open to talking with people about healing, about emotions. And that is why I started my podcast too, is to share other people's stories of healing journeys, personal journeys that they're on. So you can also find me at my podcast
and what's the name of that?
when not yet becomes right now.
And what does that mean?
It's that story of how long I kept putting off the healing journey. I kept saying, not yet. Not yet I'm in college. Not yet I'm in a career. And then when I was a mom, it was like, not yet. I have these two beautiful souls that I can't take my time away from them to work on myself, right? I think a lot of people say that.
Yeah.
Especially the ones who the caregivers. So I just kept putting it off until my brain said one day, right now is the time that you need to do this. So
Yeah.
that's where the title of the show came from.
Very cool.
Thanks. And
I love all your everything that you're doing. I think it's fabulous and needs to be out there. And I have three little grandsons, and thinking this could be something for them, that when they come home from school and had a bad day, and and I want to introduce this to my son and daughter-in-law, because I think it could be very beneficial. You know,
Yeah.
you just, I think even in families that, don't have any abuse and there's no drinking or anything going on, it's just some of the everyday stuff. And I think life is hard,
Hmm.
and sometimes especially if you're sensitive, it can be really hard, and especially, and then add being a boy,
Hmm.
even harder, because, I think it's changed, but it used to be boys don't cry,
Yep.
right?
Yeah.
And I think, and I hope it's gotten better. It's not how I raised my children. It was like, cry. You're more of a man if you can cry. Let it out.
Right. Show your feelings.
Right. It's so important to show our feelings, because stuffing them only makes us sick.
Yeah. A lot of adults that have Moody just absolutely love them. Like I have my trademark lawyer uses them all the time in Zoom calls. She just pulls them apart underneath the table.
Oh,
Right? So just
yeah.
getting that out. And yeah, a lot of parents have told me that they use it to show their children that they also have emotions that they need to, learn coping skills for.
So do you have a lot of adults that use this, or are you developing a different version for adults?
I'm not really creating anything. What I'm really interested in doing is creating more dolls for different reasons, like diagnoses for kids, ADHD, autism, just to have new dolls, specific dolls, and then ultimately to have a make a monster, just like Build-A-Bear, so people can make their own. They can pick the fabrics, the colors, if they want horns, if they want hair, whatever it is. That's my end all be all for it.
So are you looking for investors to help you?
Yeah, always. Yeah, always. Getting funding was a bit difficult because there's not a lot of investing in mental health space.
Mm.
So, when I got my funding, I was just so elated. And I am always looking for people who want to learn about the product, expand the business so that I can do. I've written a book that I'm looking to get into publishing. I've would love to make a app for kids that's kind of like the Calm app, but more about coping skills. Like if they're out with their parents, they don't have Moody with them, parents can give them the phone and they can use the app to help them as well.
Mm.
So yeah, I'm always looking for people who are interested in helping to build Moody.
Yeah. Good for you.
Yeah.
My head's spinning going, how can I help her get
Mhm.
some funding?
Oh, thank you.
But, it's just looking for some people. I think when people are touched by mental health, and that's when it's tapping into that community who has it's affecting them personally, and that's how you can do it. But I can tell you, I used to put on rallies, recovery rallies. We would have people pay for tables, and we'd have entertainment and stuff like that. And we raised a lot of money, and it would go towards helping people who were newly in recovery living at sober houses,
Mhm.
and we would pay for their rent for a month or a week, or they needed boots to go to work. We'd pay for that.
Oh.
So I think there's a lot of ways that you can incorporate this and find the funding, but or have an event. You can put it on like Eventbrite, right?
Mhm.
And then you have people come and they pay you, and you could start doing classes like that, and because you can do it for free or have them pay on Eventbrite.
Right. Yeah, no, that's a great idea. I mean, ultimately, I would love to start a nonprofit for kids in trauma. And, once I've, really got Moody moving, in a great direction. I am hoping to be able to put time into doing that as well, to give
Mm,
kids this feeling of being protected and served, honestly, because I don't think that we're serving our children what they
yeah,
need.
yeah. Well, I think there's so many adults dealing with mental health, and if they can't help themselves, how do they help their children?
Hmm. That's right. When I first became a mother, I didn't know what I was doing. And I was getting triggered because my oldest, he had a lot of behavioral issues. And
Mm,
we called him the Tasmanian devil. I wish we had a Moody for him back then. But I would get triggered and I wouldn't know what to do because
sure.
I hadn't been working through my trauma.
Mm-hmm. Wow. Amazing. You're amazing.
Oh, thank you, Donna. You are too.
Thanks. So tell everybody again how to get in touch with you.
Sure. You can get me at Jen at My Moody Monster. I'm on all the socials, and they're all My Moody Monster. And, just honestly, I love when people reach out to talk because if I can help one person to feel less alone every day, I've done my job.
Yeah. And before we leave, any words of wisdom that you would like to share with our listeners?
Absolutely. Healing is not a linear journey. It is full of ups and downs. It's a roller coaster ride, and you
Mm-hmm.
need to give yourself grace during those
Mm,
times. If there are days that you can get everything done and you feel like you've done your job for the day, that's great. If there are days where you are not feeling up to, doing what if you can just do the basics for yourself, that's okay.
mm-hmm.
We live in a world where so many people feel as though they have to constantly be on and doing something. When you're healing, you need to give yourself the time and, whatever energy that you can put towards that healing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because that is a process.
Hmm.
Healing is a process. Well, thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you so much. I hope everybody calls and orders a Moody doll because you
Ah,
have them. What'd you say? You have 20 boxes, big
oh
box
yeah.
full of
I
them.
got
So,
500 of them.
oh, awesome.
So
Good.
they
Well,
they are ready to go to homes.
good. Well, awesome. Well, thank you so much. And it was such an honor to have you on. And I appreciate everything that you're doing.
Thank you, Donna. It was an amazing conversation.
Thank you for tuning in. If you'd like to support the Sharing Without Shame podcast, please subscribe, like, and leave a review. If you're in need of emotional support, Donna offers private sessions. For more information about Donna and the services she offers, visit www.sharingwithoutshame.com or email her at donna4support@comcast.net. Nothing in the Sharing Without Shame podcast is intended to establish a therapist-patient relationship or intended to replace the services of a trained therapist, doctor, or health professional, or substitute for professional mental health, medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. Until next time, may your faith and strength heal your heart.